Unit 4, the American Revolution. Standards. Students will be able to describe the cooperation and the conflict that existed among the American Indians and between the Indian nations and the new settlers. Students will be able to explain the causes of the American Revolution. Students will understand the course, the sequence, and the consequences of the American Revolution. The big idea, freedom. Freedom was so important to the colonists that they were willing to suffer terrible hardships and years of war to win it. What to know? What disagreements led to the American Revolution? Which people and groups impacted the American Revolution? What were the major events and battles of the American Revolution? And how did the American Revolution affect United States history? So in Unit 4, we have 2 chapters, Chapter 8 and Chapter 9. And do take some time to look through the timelines and the biographies that are listed at the beginning of the unit. Some nice maps about the native groups, as well as the 13 colonies so far. There's a lesson on cause and effect. And the starting with literature reading is one of my favorite poems. So Chapter 8, The Colonies Unite. It is Midnight Ride of Paul Revere. Paul Revere's Ride, written by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. And we will have some time in class where we go through this poem. I have some nice audio recordings of it for you. I'll just do the first verse now, which is a good one to remember. Actually, the first 2 are. Listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. On the 18th of April in 75, hardly a man is now alive who remembers that famous day and year. He said to his friend, if the British march by land or sea from the town tonight, hang a lantern aloft in the belfry arch of the North Church Tower as a signal light, 1 by land and 2 by sea, and I on the opposite shore will be, ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm, for the country folk to be up and to arm. To be armed and ready to fight. Okay, so there's obviously a lot more to it. So we're going to go to the beginning of Lesson 1, Chapter 8, Lesson 1, page 318. What to know? We're going to focus on the French and Indian War. So what events caused the French and Indian War? Describe the fight for control of North America. Describe how alliances between American Indians and colonists affected the French and Indian War. Explain the new laws passed after the French and Indian War. Competition for control. You are there. It's bright and sunny outside Fort Necessity, but you're not interested in the weather. The Pennsylvania woods around you look dark and dangerous. Any minute now, your small fort may be attacked. You're scared, but you will fight to keep this land from becoming a French colony. Listening carefully, you hear a twig crack in the woods. Did you hear that? You ask the soldier standing next to you. There's a shout as one of the other soldiers in your group runs into sight. His uniform is torn and dirty. It's the French, he yells. We're surrounded. And it says that you can see a replica of the original Fort Necessity at Fort Necessity National Battlefield near Farmington, Pennsylvania. Okay, our first heading that we'll use to set up our Cornell notes, our 2-column notes on the left side, conflicting claims. What were the conflicting claims? What happened because of conflicting claims? And before we read, let's look at this map over here, where we have our British is this orange color. So we have the Atlantic coast as well as this big section of what is now Canada. French territory going from Louisiana up through most of what is now Midwest America, and then part of what is now Quebec in Canada. And then, well, there's a little Russian over here. Spanish. So we've got California, Baja, Mexico, Texas, and Florida, as well as some of the Caribbean. This light bluish color, disputed, means the British and the French are claiming some of these lands. They're saying, this is my land. No, it's my land. Up here, the same thing. Disputed territories. Well, here it's the British and the French. Okay, so conflicting claims. Let's read. Make sure to write down what you think is important in your notes. By the mid-1700s, Spain, France, and Britain, as England became known, were trying to keep control of their lands in North America. For the most part, Spain claimed southwestern lands. France claimed lands to the north and in the middle of what is now the United States. Most of the land that Britain claimed was along the Atlantic coast or in what is now Canada.